Have to have time. The vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. I am nature's greatest miracle! I came up with a vaccine, with 3 vaccines. All are very, very good in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 to 12 years.
Earth realm is safe.
And yet more people have died under COVID this year, by the way, under Joe Biden, than under you. And more people took the vaccine this year. So people are questioning how...
Well, no, the vaccine worked, but some people aren't taking it. The ones that get very sick and go to the hospital are the ones that don't take the vaccine.
Wow, didn't see that one coming.
Today, he lashed out at Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, saying the first-term Republican could have never won without his support.
A lot of candidates around the country backed by Donald Trump did not do so well this past Tuesday. So why did Trump go after Governor Youngkin this morning? It may have had something to do with this. Virginia's Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears on Fox Business yesterday.
You know, the voters have spoken, and they have said that they want a different leader. And a true leader understands when they have become a liability.
She said after Tuesday's election, it's time for Republicans to move on from Donald Trump. That may have been enough to make Governor Youngkin a Trump target on his social media site, Truth Social, or maybe Trump sees Governor Youngkin as 2024 competition. Either way, the former president posted this morning that Youngkin could not have won Virginia without him. Could not have come close to winning, he said.
Listen, you all know me. I do not call people names. I really work hard to bring people together, and that's what we're working on. Lieutenant Governor Sears is a strong leader. I deeply, deeply respect her. She is her own independent person, and we work extraordinarily well together.
Let's see, there it is, Trump at 71, Ron DeSanctimonious at 10%.
Then goes on to call him a, quote, average governor with great public relations.
We'd like to know what you think about Trump's big announcement and some of the less than flattering comments he has made about you.
Well, you know, one of the things I've learned in this job is when you're leading, when you're getting things done, you take incoming fire. That's just the nature of it. I roll out of bed in the morning. I've got corporate media outlets that have a spasm, just the fact that I'm getting up in the morning. And this is just what's happened. I don't think any governor got attacked more, particularly by corporate media, than me over my 4-year term. All that's just noise. And really what matters is, are you leading? Are you getting in front of issues? Are you delivering results for people? And are you standing up for folks? And if you do that, then none of that stuff matters. And that's what we've done. We focused on results and leadership. And, at the end of the day, I would just tell people to go check out the scoreboard from last Tuesday night. The fact of the matter is, it was the greatest Republican victory in the history of the state of Florida. And it wasn't just the best governor victory, of course it was that, but we swept in super majorities in the Florida legislature. We have 85 Republicans out of 120 in our state house. We've never had that many before. We have 28 senators out of 40 that are Republicans. Never had that many. And honestly, they could have had 29 if they would have done the Osceola one. We won Osceola County at the top of the ticket, and I think we probably could have done that. So you see that. You see the school boards. We're electing all these great people to school boards. We had 16 Republican members of the U.S. House from Florida. Now we have 20 going up there. So that's four seats right there. So at the end of the day, I think people respond to the leadership. They respond to the results. And so that's why, even though I know anytime I do anything, you're over the target, you're going to face incoming. That's just the nature of it.
All right, welcome to Wednesday Night Live, folks. Thank you for joining. Look, I wanted to do this. I almost came on last night to do this, actually, because of the response I got to the previous video that we did where I tackled this issue. And I think it's fair to say in that video that I was siding with DeSantis. And it's not even that I think, and I'll say it up front, that I will vote for Trump. So I do not hate Trump. I am not a never Trumper. I'm not happy to see this type of discourse going on. As a matter of fact, it bothers me greatly to see this kind of stuff happening. And I don't know how much of the intro video you guys saw because I didn't put in a ticker today, but I covered the situation with Candace. I put in a little bit with Candace Owens and her issues with Trump, and a little bit with Youngkin as he recently attacked Youngkin, the governor of Virginia. And I have concerns. And I want to hear what you guys think about it, because some of the things, now the overwhelming response, by the way, for those who are, for those who don't just want to vote for Trump, but are like, all in infatuated with Trump, for those folks, yeah, you're probably not going to like me at the end of this, but feel free to comment, because I will post your comments and we can have the discourse. I'll put your comments up on screen and we'll have the discourse. But there are just some people, and it's not the majority, right? People who are messaging me over that video, and the video didn't even get a lot of play because Facebook, YouTube, everyone kind of squashed this particular one, or for whatever reason, it was like 14 times less distribution on Facebook. But even with that, enough people were messaging me and reaching out to me, and on both sides. But the majority of them were where I am, where they're thinking to themselves, all right, I like Trump, I'll vote for Trump, right? In most of our heads, I think for the average Trump supporter, the perfect scenario would be Trump gets 4 years, DeSantis takes the next state. Like that would be, I think that's everyone's ideal scenario. But the reality of the matter is it may not pan out that way. And you know what? I can't hate on DeSantis if he decides to run. Like, I can't hate. But what disturbs me about it is the reaction from some people. And they were the minority, but they're worth mentioning because I've done episodes on mass formation on the other side. I've done episodes explaining to people what mass formation is. I never thought that I would do it in this context, although there always was a part of me that knows that there is a certain small sect of Trump supporters who are literally that rabid. And I think Trump knows that they're out there too. I think Trump thinks that there are more people like that than there actually are. And we can debate on that because you really can't, it's hard to tell. But I mean, when Trump makes a comment, in the past, where is it? I think I have it here.
Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
So I don't know if it was a little low in volume on my side, but he's basically said I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters. And there's an element of truth to that for a certain voter for Trump. Now, it's important to understand his base is diverse, and it's not, and everyone thinks that it's all, like to the lefty, they think it's all just these, racist, blah, 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 blah. But like, it's an incredibly diverse base. And Trump has an opportunity to really, really do something special with this. And I know he just announced he's running. They made a bigger deal out of that than I think they needed to. I think we all knew Trump was going to run, right? But what does he gain from attacking DeSantis and attacking Candace Owens and attacking Youngkin and all of these things that he attacks them? Like when he starts to say bad stuff about them, these are all me issues for him. Like these are all things, none of those people did anything wrong. None of them. And here's where I get back to the mass formation piece, is that people are hitting me up with these, and it's ridiculous. But I looked them up, though, just to make sure that they were insane as I thought they were. But, did you know that DeSantis is in with Fauci in these diamond investments in Oklahoma? And I'm like, what the frick? And another person hits you up. He's having secret meetings with rhinos. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Right? Because, and this is where those of us who still believe in asking questions and demanding that things make sense, and start to come into play. All right. Because all of this stuff starts coming out right after Trump puts his foot in his mouth. And why do I say he put his foot in his mouth? Because while there are still some diehards out there who are going to be like, yeah, screw DeSantis, and they'll be happy to drive a bus over him, Owens, and anybody else that gets in their way, The majority of the base is not that way. The majority of the Trump base, okay, if you're one of those people now who's looking up dirt on DeSantis, you're in a cult, okay? You're in a cult. I'll tell you that right now, because the vast majority of Trump supporters, the bottom line is when they hear him going after DeSantis, they cringe a little bit. They're like, what? What's going on? Like, why would he do that? And they don't know how to react to it. Same thing when they hear him go after Owens. Same thing when they hear him go after Youngkin. And I don't even know Youngkin that well, but I just know I know Trump very well. I grew up with Trump in my life. This guy was in the media every day, and you know, I had the Trump board game. I've been a big fan. I've been a big fan long before he became president. But there's an element here that's now serious, because the fact of the matter is, despite what he tells you, the key races that he backed supporters in lost. And it's the second time, actually, that that's happened. All right. There were races before this in between, local races where candidates lost. And you have to take notice of that. You cannot blow that off. And the reason, in my opinion, you're going to say, oh, well, it's all fixed, and that's why they lost. Look, every election in the country didn't get lost by being fixed. All right. There definitely, Maricopa County, Nevada, definitely some crazy crap going on there that they'll probably never investigate, although Carrie Lake is a firecracker, and I could count on her to probably go after it there. But in the end, that's not why they all lost. And then I hear other people saying, oh, well, we put bad candidates up. How do you get worse than the candidates that the Democrats put up? I mean, this Carrie Lake's opponent did zero debates, engaged in zero dialogue on any issue. Fetterman couldn't even speak. So, I think, I don't think Oz was a great candidate, and I think there's definitely could have been better candidates, but considering what they were up against, I don't think they were that bad. And I'm curious to hear, look, if you guys have comments, because I know this apparently is a hot topic. So if you have comments, feel free. I'll put them up on the screen, and we can discuss it, right now. But in the end, what DeSantis said, and he didn't really say anything, by the way. So, and this is part of the reason why people are attracted to him, because he doesn't come back and do, he at the end of what he said there, they asked him, what do you think about the, Trump's comments and the nicknames he's given you and all the juvenile BS? He was just like, look, when you're leading and you're leading well, you're gonna take fire. And he's like, now he shouldn't have to say that, because he shouldn't be taking fire. He shouldn't be taking. But the fact is, Trump knows that this guy's a threat. And to those people who want to be like, because some of these diehards are, the reason I put the Q logo in the cover was, somewhat. At first I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it. It's going to be clickbait. But I was like, you know what, though? A lot of these people who think Trump has this master plan, that he's somehow like, oh, this is all a part of the plan. It's all like, you people need to stop that. You need to let that go. He does not have a plan like you're talking. He has a plan. All right. There's no, and it absolutely reminded me of the QAnon madness. And I looked into QAnon. I had my moment with that when it first came out. And the fact of the matter is, there's nothing that QAnon dropped that isn't known by every world leader in the world. So so the idea that it's this like savior who's coming in to do these drops. I mean, yeah, was the child sex ring real? Yeah, I absolutely believe that there's a child sex ring. I also believe that every single world leader on earth knows that. Just because you didn't know it doesn't mean that the world didn't know it. Because world leaders all know this stuff. You can bet on it. And so this whole trust the plan, like that kind of stuff was bringing up QAnon to me. That was bringing up memories of me looking into QAnon and coming to the conclusions I came to, or Q, not QAnon, the nouns, or I get it. So you don't need to comment with that. But in the end, that's the bottom line with it. And there's no plan, okay? There's no, how I know this? Number one, I've been following Trump his whole life, not just the last 6 years or so. And he doesn't have a plan. And number two, even if he did have a plan, he was caught completely. He wouldn't have gotten thrown out of office. So, like, if you believe that the election, which is right where this all goes, right? If you believe the election was rigged in 2020, then what plan is that? How do you plan to get yourself thrown, right? So how do you plan to get yourself thrown out of office? He was taken by surprise by that loss the same way everybody else was. And the optics of that election were horrible. They were a little bit better this time, but like all kinds of crazy stuff happened in that election that if he was planning for it, he would have had people at the polling stations. He would have had people in these locations. The RNC would have been all over that stuff. But there's no plan. There's no plan. When he pops off at Candace Owens or pops off at on DeSantis or Youngkin or anybody else, when he does that, you need to understand it's not for a reason. I mean, it is, but the reason is that he's upset because somebody triggered him, like a 10-year-old. And the fact is, look, in Youngkin's case, I think it was his secretary general. I don't know who it was, someone that works under him, or lieutenant, I forget. But they made a comment that was a direct attack on Trump. So I could see him going after her because she did turn around and say, look, the people who've spoken by that meaning, all these swing elections did not go our way despite the endorsement. I could see him going after her. But why would you take that out on Youngkin, who you endorsed 2 years prior? Like, this is what I don't understand. He goes after people, and this is why you should know what it really is. It's just him being a narcissist. All right? That's what it is. He can't stand the fact that Ron DeSantis is so successful. And the fact that he helped him in his first election made him have to remind everybody as if he's responsible for Ron DeSantis' success. There's a huge difference between getting someone elected to office and then them winning their next election without your help at all by 20 points. Not 5 points, not neck and neck, 20 points. And here's the key that people need to hang on to. I'm not advocating for DeSantis over Trump or whatever. All right. All I'm saying is that when you look at when DeSantis didn't just win, everybody on that ticket won. All right. Everybody, like Florida, is all Republican right now. All right. House seats, which now turned out to be crucial, were won there. Everything was won there. All right. So the fact that it wasn't just his massive win, it was the trickle-down effect, which is exactly what you'd be looking for in a general election. So I have like an essay that got put up here by Warren Owen. Yep, here they come. All right, so we've got the people disagreeing, and I expected this. So I was waiting actually to see how many followers I could lose today with this. But I got to be straight with you. I got to tell you as I see it, and it is what it is. I'm not running for office, and I don't get paid for this channel. So you're going to get it from the hip. So Warren Owen says Glenn Youngkin is on World Economic Forum website, took screenshots. All right, before I even go on with this, okay? So now we're tagging him with the WEF. So what you're telling me, Warren, is that Trump endorses WEF candidates? Like, is that what we're dealing with now? So Trump endorsed a WEF candidate. That's what you're telling me. And that's supposed to make me feel better. Like, I started this by saying I would vote for Trump. Now you're making me creeped out where maybe I won't. If that's true, if Trump is endorsing WEF candidates, I've got a major freaking problem with that. So I haven't heard anything until this post. But I know Warren, we've been going back and forth. Actually, Warren is one of the people that I have been messaging, and we have been having excellent discourse, by the way, on this topic. Not necessarily in agreement, but having excellent discourse. So he says, love Candace Owens, nothing to say. DeSantis went to Yale, was a member of a secret society. Bush backed him. Seen first on Twitter, was a member of the Skull and Bones. then heard Alex Jones say that. Yeah, Alex Jones, I'm on the fence with. I get it that he's right sometimes, but he's also horrifically wrong sometimes, and I don't, I don't go down that road with Alex. I don't. But that being said, I get it. I'm not saying he's always wrong. I'm just saying when he's wrong, it's like horrifically wrong, and it's like insultingly wrong to like the whole school shootings thing. I knew that was nonsense when he first started preaching it, and he just kept it on. I don't want to get into Alex Jones, but anyway. So last Thursday, finding myself on Reddit. I don't trust any politician, but the way they hate Trump, the way they attack him, he has to be for humanity. I agree with you 100% on that statement. So I don't trust any politician, which I don't, including DeSantis or Youngkin or anyone. Okay, they're all subject to question. But the fact of the matter is, and I agree with you that when you say the appeal of Trump is that they all hate him. When I realized when I first bought into Trump, it was after the primaries. Okay, like I was not a huge fan before the primaries. He's not a conservative. I was all about, I was a Ted Cruz guy at the time. I liked some other candidate. I did not think I was worried about which way the Trump presidency will go. But I will eat crow and say after he won that I was happy to see the policy decisions that he made, the Supreme Court justice decisions that he made. I just saw him as someone that could go either way. And now I know who he is. Like now I know what he'll do if he gets in there. So I'm okay with it. I was questioning the tariffs on China, but you know what? It worked. So I'll eat crow. It worked. It was dangerous stuff to be playing, but you know what? It worked. So I say I have nothing bad to say about the way that Donald Trump managed this country. And I agree 100% that he is definitely, if everybody hates him, then there's absolutely appeal there. Okay, there's absolutely appeal there. But I would argue this when it comes to, so let me just finish this statement so I can make sure I don't miss anything pertinent. So I wish Trump talked more about WEF and how bad the vaccine are. He's going to be blamed if he doesn't. Yeah, Trump will. And if you saw the beginning, Warren, I don't know when you jumped on, but in the beginning, my intro video, instead of a ticker, I actually had that interview, pieces of that interview that he did with Candace Owens. And it just, that takes me back to who Trump is, though. Like Trump will never, he knows that his base can't stand the vaccine. He knows that, but he doesn't care. If saying that, if he turns around and acknowledges any of the questions that Candace was asking him, it's going to be an admission that he was wrong. Like he doesn't have the capability to say, you know what, and just be honest and be like, look, there was a pandemic. I'm not a doctor, right? If all these lives, they're telling you, millions of lives, hundreds of millions of lives could be lost, and you got to make a decision. You make the decision, right? And I had no idea that it was going to be the way it was. I had no idea. Like he could have said that and it would have been fine, but that's not Trump, right? And this is what I'm saying. Like, it's not like, I mean, would you have no one left him, even though he took the side of it. So the idea that if he would have friggin' just came out and been like, look, right, warp speed seemed like the thing to do, right? And just be straight. She's always straight, unless it's about him. Unless it's about him making a mistake, then it's lies galore. Then I guarantee you don't believe anything he's saying when he says those kind of things. But there's no way. But he tells the truth and he straight talks about the important stuff. So and when he's lying, right? So it's like like it's blatant. Like when he tells you the greatest invention, the vaccine was the greatest invention of mankind. Every Trump supporter on earth cringed when they first heard that. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Q zombie that follows him. You're still cringed when you heard that one. So in the end, we all did. But it is what it is, right? He is who he is, right? He's after DeSantis right now because DeSantis is competition, and that's fine. There's an element of that's okay. Like if you think you're going to be facing someone in a primary, it's all right to start creating a little separation. But you don't need to start attacking them the way you did Jeb Bush. You're not going to succeed that way. You're not going to win. A guy that has that much influence and has done so much, right, through performance, right? You may have gotten him elected, but that guy got reelected on his own. He didn't just get reelected. He got freaking reelected. And this whole thing is now we've got, and not to mention with this, he creates this category of now, everyone yelling at each other internally. Right? So now you've got diehard DeSantis folks, you've got diehard Trump folks. Now they're all, but now he was a part, his uncle's sister's cousin was a part of the Nazi party, and all this crazy stuff's gonna come out that never came out once until someone crossed Trump. When they crossed Trump, all of a sudden the Reddit leaks come. Q might do another drop. Maybe there'll be this and that. All of these things now, all of a sudden, the things I've heard about DeSantis in the last week are just ridiculous to me. They're just ridiculous to me. Because look, like everything the left does, like everything the Marxists do, the timing is just that's your first red flag. You didn't hear squat about, he's bringing up Skull and Bones and all this. You didn't hear squat about any of that before the Sanctimonious came out. We didn't hear a word. I'm just saying, we got to be, it's up to the base to set Trump's ass straight. That's my point. All right. The point is, we can't just be following him like zombies, like let him and not tell him when he needs to slow down. Because he's never going to do that on his own. If we don't do that, he'll never do that. And the reality is, we lost those elections, all right? Those swing state elections. I know he says he won 219, but the fact is, we lost the ones that mattered. And that's what mattered. Let me get into some of these comments. Jacqueline DeKisto, they've been attacking him from the first day. Absolutely, Jacqueline. Absolutely. Absolutely. And she threw another one in here that she disagrees with me completely. I can live with that. This is what it's all about, right? This is what it's all about. And so be it. And Warren's saying he got fooled. Warren, is that I'm a little behind, but I think that might be when I was talking about the whole 2020 election thing and whatnot. Like when I was saying he doesn't have a plan. I don't know. I'm thinking that's when it was. Let me see here. So get off his personality and get on all what he did. The NWO took him out, and now he's standing right over their shoulders. Yeah, Janine, I will tell you this. Janine over on Facebook, I will tell you this. Yeah, it looks like, from the things that I've seen, and we reported on Lara Logan saying she had someone who was in a high-level UN meeting talking about, and she was talking about a different topic about how they plan on invading the border and stuff with immigration. But she did mention in there that the whole plan was supposed to be for them, for the UN and the globalists, that there was no Trump, that it was going to just go, that they had this wrapped up. Hillary was going to take over, then, bring in the next do-to-do, and then one do-to-do after the other, and then they go ahead and complete this 2030 agenda. So Trump was a big play, definitely, in that. That being said, I think DeSantis would be an equally bad. Like I don't feel like DeSantis would hurt us in that way. Like he's not going to come in and be, and be a part of the 2030 agenda. Like that's crazy talk. That's just not going to happen. But I agree. I'd rather have Trump back in there on that scale. So look, there's reasons to want Trump back. I don't want to come off like I'm anti-Trump. It's not the case. But I'm a realist and I ask questions. And when I see him doing things like that, it bothers me. Because when I ask the questions, I don't really like the answers that I'm getting. And I don't buy the he has a plan and all that nonsense. I'm just not buying it. It's just, I've yet to see any drip of a formulation of a plan in any way, shape, or form. And it's been 6 years now, and I haven't seen squat. What I've seen is Trump dropping his attitude on the world stage and making a difference. That's what I've seen. But the idea that there's like this organization secretly, whether it's military or otherwise, to take down the cabal, like Trump's trying to take down the cabal with a baseball bat, and they're holding freaking machine guns. Like, if we want to take down the cabal, we're going to do it through what this channel is really about, and that's an Article 5 Convention of States, and the people are going to do it directly. No president's taking down the cabal. Get that straight. If the idea was, and I don't care if that's DeSantis, I don't care if Trump is president, DeSantis is vice president, and freaking Carrie Lake is Secretary of Defense. There's nothing they're going to do. There's nothing they're going to do. In order to take down the cabal, we need to take this country back. All right. And when I say take this country back, I mean impose things on the federal government, including the president, whoever it may be. That's what needs to happen if you want to take the cabal back. If you want to knock, you need to make this country inedible. You need to make this country just completely unpalatable to the cabal. All right. And even the first call, even the issues in the first calling right now for term limits, government fiscal restraints, and government overreach, even amendments on just those topics will set that stage, because it would eliminate virtually every cabal politician we have in office right now. They'd be gone instantly. So the term limits would help with that. All right, these aren't the full solution to the cabal. Where the real solution is the fiscal restraints, forget modern monetary theory. Forget it. It's gone. Without modern monetary theory, they can't operate. They can't operate. All right? If there are balanced budget amendments passed, the cabal, the New World Order cannot happen in the United States. All right? And then there's government overreach. You shut down these agencies, these regulatory agencies, the executive has no arm to reach into the populace and start commanding the domestic policy. All right. You don't have OSHA there. There is no OSHA to do mask mandates. The EPA cannot be sicked on anyone with private land to try and seize property. These weapons the Department of Education would be shut down. All right. So no more of this garbage in our schools. And because there's a balanced budget amendment in place, they won't have the money to bribe these states. This is the way. This is all done directly by the people. This is all done by us. Please tell me that we're not still thinking that there's a president we can elect who's going to be able to come in and accomplish any of this. It's not about Trump or he want to do it. There's just no way. There's no logical way for a president to get that done. The power just simply doesn't exist. I don't know if you noticed, but every single cycle, it ends up being one, some sort of split down the middle where nothing gets done. Have you noticed that? There's always, they won the House, but not the Senate. But they got the presidency, but they have all three. Look, but then they only have like 51 in the Senate, so they can't really pass anything without anything meaningful without 60. So then there's that, and just nothing ever gets done. Like, now's the time for we the people to step up. But I want to take more comments here and stay on topic, because I can go on all day about Article 5. All right. We've got Warren says Trump had more votes in Florida. Yeah, he had more votes in Florida during a presidential election, for one, and for two, whenever there's a presidential election, midterms never get the turnout. They never get the turnout that a presidential election gets. That's for everybody down the line. Okay, because unfortunately, we've got millions of people in this country who just literally pretend like the midterms don't exist and only show up when it's for president. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but it's absolutely true. It happens all the time. That being said, the guy won by 20 points. So how are we counting votes here? He won by 20 freaking points. 20 points, and the senator won under him. Everybody won. Everybody, their state legislatures, Republicans, everybody won in that state. You want to talk about coattails? Those are some serious freaking coattails. And he did this with Trump publicly not backing him. People were like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Yeah, he's backing you. He ain't backing you. I don't care. We're voting for you. And they did. So here's Patty Cox. The important ones were stolen through election fraud. Yeah, you know what? Look, the election fraud thing is, I'm up to here with it right now. I am, because it's a state issue, right? I would love to throw that. I would love to say that we could fix that with a convention of states, but you really can't, because it's the states already have that power. They're just how Maricopa. How the hell of all states, first of all, and then of those states, of all counties, for Maricopa to do what it did. If I was Kari Lake, I'd be suing the crap out of everybody. And I'm pretty sure she is. I said this in our live episode the day of the elections, where we were just kind of shooting the crap because we knew that nothing was going to be, we weren't going to be on all night. But like when it came down to it, I said in the beginning, the two races that I was watching were Fetterman and Oz and Kari Lake, because those two, number one, the Fetterman and Oz race, to me, all right, and it's not as bad as the first time Pennsylvania, where they counted all the early votes at the end, which I think is the shadiest freaking thing in the world. So at least they fixed that part. So yeah, were there probably dead people? And I mean, Pennsylvania doesn't update their rolls, dude. They're like everybody else. Yeah, I'm sure dead people and everybody else, people that used to live at addresses, all those things happen. All right, but all those votes were in early. So we knew at the beginning of that election, there was a number to beat, right? There was a number to beat. It's not like in 2020, one of the worst parts about 2020 was the way they handled it. It was just so suspect because the optics of it were just terrible. Like, you can't be shocked that people were pissed. I guess that's my point, is you can't. I mean, at the end of the night, once you know how many people showed up to vote, now you're going to start counting other votes. Like, those votes need to be counted early. And I'm glad that at least that part got done. Those votes got counted early. So, yeah, these Democrats were starting the day with these huge leads, but then at least you knew what you were up against. Whereas, so in the end, though, I was watching those two elections because I didn't think the WEF would allow Kari Lake to win. Like, in my head, like not that I have proof that the WEF, just in my head, I'm like, if she wins, that's going to put two border hawks in two huge border states. Like, I can't imagine the WEF being okay with that. So I was curious to see how that election went. And I was disturbed when the first thing I heard that morning was that, of all places, Maricopa County, broken machines in 20% of the free. I'm like, how does that even happen? How do you not test those machines before you freaking start that, before that day? It's just not believable. Like, the incompetence that they're trying to make me believe is so crazy. It's so incompetent. I just can't believe it. And I guess that's the point, is I just, like, all right, if you want to tell me it's just incompetence and that they literally just didn't test the machines. All right, well, that's ridiculous. Why is not everyone associated with that election? Why are they not all being fired? Oh, wait, because the Secretary of State is now the governor. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Kari Lake's opponent ran the election. Another, like, bizarre. I know Kemp did that. I don't know how they let that happen, but it's happened in other states too. It's just absolutely nuts to me. An acoustic berserker over on YouTube says Trump is done. I think that's a little bit. I think that's a little bit nuts. I don't think Trump is done. And he says, "You sound like Q. If you think I sound like Q, then you clearly were not listening to anything that I said, or you came on late. I don't know what the hell you did. I just got done dealing with the whole Q nonsense." And yeah, that's you just need to get on early. Maybe rewind a little bit, and that'll help you out. Warren over in Facebook, you have Democrats saying Biden Fetterman is it's a no-brainer. That did you even see the semantics in that, Warren? I don't know if that was intentional, but that would literally be a no-brainer. There were literally no brains between either one of those candidates. I don't even think that's what you intended, but that is funny. All right, let me see. So the election definitely rigged. Look, again, there's too much work we have to do as a voting populace there are states, the states need to get better control of their election processes. I agree. But I don't think that we can't win an election in these states. I don't believe that. I think the states need to secure them better. Yes. Maricopa County, I swear to God, like, they should just send everybody over to Texas to vote, or just fly everybody over to Florida to place their vote so that Florida can handle it for them, so they can get it back, so we can get the results back within a month. It's just ridiculous. Florida had 2000 happen, and that was it. 2000, and that wasn't even their fault. right? 2000 happened, and then they got into this Chads and Dimples and this and that, and they were like, never again. And you know what? Never again. Florida's been calling elections one night. That's it. Huge population, no drama, no issues. It's been working fine for them. So Warren says it's intentional. All right. Yeah, it jumped at me. That was a good one. I could almost make a T-shirt with that. By the way, folks, so this shirt is just released in our T-shirt store. So that store is slowly growing. I'm adding shirts slowly while the channel is still small, so that one day when we're a big crazy channel with not that 10,000 followers or 9,000 followers is bad, but when we're in the 2 million or whatever, living the dream. At that point, I'll actually have a full store. So what you'll see in there now are the shirts that I wear on the broadcast. But this one, the math is simple. Unity is greater than diversity. So this one is a good conversation starter. Because it puts Marxists in a weird position where they have to start defending a position against unity. and it's awkward for them. Like I try to find these things that's outside the programming so that it doesn't compute, and you get that. I know you've all seen that look on their face when they can't respond because the facts are just overwhelming, and they're like, does not compute, does not compute, and then that's when they start insulting you personally. So not that we put this shirt together just to get you insulted personally, but it is what it is. Howard McAdams on Facebook, thank you for sharing this with us. Yeah, no, absolutely. Howard, look, it's just conversation, right? It's just conversation. And in the end, my greatest concern, and I want to talk about this openly now, and I'll probably bring it up again in the future because now is the time to iron this crap out. Like we're all in the same family here. Right? It's not like this idea, I don't want the primaries because Trump can do this, right? Trump will turn the primaries so ugly that people will be at each other's throats who believe in all the same stuff. Right? And that's the thing. Like the DeSantis supporters, we're all in the same gang. DeSantis supporters, Trump supporters, we're all in the same gang. This ain't worth fighting about. It ain't worth fighting about. But it is important to iron out, right? It's important to iron out because you don't want, this is a legitimate concern. Like the inability for Trump to get these other people elected, all right, is a concern. It's real, all right? It's a real, because here's what happens, all right, is that Trump gets somebody up so rabid to vote, so rabid, and they love him, and they're gonna come with the flags, and they've been to all the events, and they're fired up. But for every one of those people, he's firing up someone else to vote against that person because they hate him so much, right? And this is where the you got to start weighing it. You got to start looking at it rationally. If it's happening to, we had a guy who's pretty much mentally incapable win, right? So it's not like Oz lost to a guy who was capable. He lost to a guy in a hoodie and a sweatshirt that lives in his basement, has never had a job, and lives off his parents, and had a stroke and can't think properly or put thoughts together. All of that is the guy that beat Trump's candidate, who has international fame, who was who's a heart surgeon and incredibly competent, and he lost, right, to a dude like that. So in the end, there's an element there that we just gotta take it. We gotta take it for what it is, I guess. But in the end, look, I'm looking at these elections, right? There's still election polls open. I mean, this was the second actual point that I wanted to get to, was that the fact that these election polls is still open. I'm like, what is it? It's the 16th now? So we're well over a week, and the election polls is still open. Look, I don't know. I mean, there's a level of incompetence. I don't know how young everybody is, right? I know our base is kind of spread all over the place, and then we've got our international folks on here as well. So you may not be as engaged with American politics, but I mean, there was a day not long ago where every election was decided that day and that night. Everyone. Then came 2020. And because of what we were told were pandemic emergency measures, and none of that stuff, all of that chaos that they brought to the 2020 election still exists. All of it. You've got people registering on the same day. There's like ballots all over the place, just getting mailed out to everybody. Like, it's like complete chaos was reigned on our election system in 2020 during COVID because of 6 feet and this and that. And they did all these changes and they never changed back. They never acknowledged that it's over and changed back. They just kept all this madness in place. So, like, this is supposed to be the new normal? I don't think so. I'm not okay with these states holding on to votes, curing votes, and all these other twisted terms that have become like commonplace now. This is not okay. This is not the new normal. It's just not. I don't care if it means get rid of all machines and go back to the hand counting, because you know what? We were able to hand count one day. We were able to do that. And now we can't. Now we can't. Now we pretend. We sit here like did anybody think, honestly, like just from the optics standpoint, did anybody think that there was going to be a wave of Republicans that win after the first day passed as we got into the second day? Was anybody thinking, oh yeah, the Republicans have a good chance in these races? Like, did you honestly think Kari Lake was going to win that race? Because I didn't. I almost didn't think she was going to win the second I heard there were issues with the Maricopa machines. But then I held judgment and I said, let's wait, let's see. But when they couldn't get it counted in the same day, I was like, oh no, she's done. She's done. I don't know why. I don't know how. All I know is that when it gets to the end of the night and it gets into and the sun comes back up again after Election Day, Republicans don't win. That's the only thing I know about the new normal. Once the sun comes up after Election Day, if it hasn't been decided yet, Republicans don't win. That's generally the case. Now, maybe there's an exception here or there, but for the most part, no race that I've looked at did the Republican come back in the dead of night. Just never did. Never happened. It's always been the Democrat. And they say, oh, well, in the past it was because, that's because they count all the early votes then. But all right, but now we're going through it. They counted the early votes early. And so then I should be led to believe that it should be Republican numbers that jump, because you're saying Democrats don't show up to the polls. They make up all of these millions of mail-in votes, which means, all right, well, then the Republicans are showing up. So if that's what's left, you would think if you went to bed that night and you woke up, that you would see some significant movement in the Republican column. Like if that were the case. But that's not what happens, is it? It's not what's happening. It's not what's happening. What's happening is that we've got runoffs and we've got, runoffs are what they are. But like these other races, I mean, as of 3 days ago, there were states that were 60% counted. Like, what the F is that? 60%. What the hell have you people been doing all week? Like, for the love of God, how does that even happen? I don't even understand how that happens. But yet, lo and behold, here we are. We still, to this day, 8 days later, still have races open. Like the House now made a big comeback. Right? like, what did you think was going to happen once I'm curious to know. Like, am I alone in this? Like, let me know. Am I alone in this? When you saw the election, any election today, since COVID-19, is there any election that gets past the first day that you feel at all, if you have a red candidate that you're looking for, that you feel that person has any chance of winning? Because I don't. And maybe it's a skeptic. I'm just a skeptic, but I just haven't seen it happen enough. I haven't. It seems to me like I thought this time around would be different because, a lot of these states, but I heard there are a lot of doing it different. But like, I know Pennsylvania counted them early. I'm pretty sure, I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure Arizona counted the early ones early. Like, everyone, first of all, there shouldn't even be this many early votes. But that being said, if you had to request early votes, there wouldn't be this many early votes. Like, if they weren't just throwing early votes out there, like, you get a, just flicking them out in the mail, like, just send it everywhere. Like, don't worry. Like if that wasn't happening, there wouldn't be nearly. If it was just down to the people who really needed to vote early, if it was just down to that, then it would be like the whole point of election day is to make it a day. Right? Like it's the whole point is to make it a day. Like you go out, you go to the polls, you talk some smack, maybe get today's era, maybe get on social media, be like, look at me, I voted, take a picture of yourself, right? All of that. But that ain't what it is. Now it's like voting, it's like election week, election month. we gotta do now. It's like, what the hell, dude? I'm just scratching my head. Like I'm looking at these empty holes in this House election results, and I'm just like, how could there be, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 seats that are still undecided, and it's like 8 days later. What planet are we living on, folks? What planet are we living on? I don't know. All right. Anyway, that was the gist. I guess we're getting close. I got probably another 8 minutes or so. So if anybody else has more comments, by all means, bring it up, because the comments are light right now, so I can definitely highlight them. But so if you wanted to comment on whether it's Trump DeSantis, Trump Candace, Trump Youngkin, notice that recurring word there, though. And another thing I'm curious about for those watching either now or even if you catch this on a replay, how do you feel about DeSantis's response? So DeSantis's response, and I put it at the end of the intro video, but DeSantis's response was pretty much friggin' like, look, I don't, I'm not. He didn't say it like this, but this is the way I took it. Was like, hey, I'm not engaging with this right now. Like I just won a great gubernatorial victory. I just was told thank you by the people of Florida for 20 points, like absolutely crushed this election. The biggest win in any Florida election, period. Forget gubernatorial. And he's like, why am I going to sit here and have a conversation about Donald Trump? I thought it was a class move. I thought it was, and he did throw in at the end, like, look, if it comes down to it, look at the scorecard for last Tuesday, right? And he's basically saying the proof is in the pudding. Like under my leadership, right? And yeah, Trump helped him get elected the first time. Trump did not get him a 20-point victory this time. He didn't do anything for him this time. And he got a 20-point victory. So, and he has a right. He has a right to get a little swag and kind of say, hey, I've done a good job by the people of this state, and I ain't going to sit here and have this conversation about childish names and tactics when I didn't even say I'm running for president yet. So I thought it was classy. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I thought. Says Hobbs is in charge of her own election. Yeah, I know, against Kerry Lake. Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier, that she's like, how do you, and I guess Kemp did this too. Someone told me Kemp did this too. He was Secretary of State when he first ran. And I was just like, how does no one see a conflict of, it's so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous to me that nobody sees these conflict. This is a conflict of interest. Like, all right, so I'm responsible for managing and running the integrity of the election for myself. And everybody's okay with this? Like what world are we living in right now? I just don't know. I just don't know. It stuns me, and I'm like, the more I look at the circus that are American elections right now, the more, and that's not like, don't even get me into the whole social media censoring thing. Like, that drives me nuts too. The whole social media censoring is like, what the hell? Like, I don't know if y'all remember Dr. Shiva, who had his lawsuit against, it started with a lawsuit against Massachusetts election committee, or their election board, for the machines, for the Dominion machine. He was actually the first one to sue on that. The guy's got 4 MIT degrees. He invented email. Like, this is not just some candidate. and he like broke down the algorithms of machines, started that way. But then what happened is he started to realize the collusion between the government and Twitter as they were censoring his Twitter account, and it became about that. and there was some epic evidence that he was showing. And I think eventually, like Twitter was called to the courtroom. Like Twitter was called into the courtroom to explain, and then they were scolded when they got there. I read the whole freaking, I read the whole transcript for the first or second trial, and it read like the judge was feeling Dr. Shiva. It really did. And you know, these things take forever to follow up, and I don't have a team of people, but I did go back, and it looks like at some point the case ended up getting thrown out, which I expected because nobody wants to touch election cases. So as soon as it left that judge, it went away. Like we had a judge there for a minute who was interested, and then poof, gone. Nothing to offer. All right. So folks, I just want to say thank you everyone for getting on. We are currently, we're at 9,300 followers on Facebook. So, you know, what I'm going to ask of you guys is if you have a lot of our followers, a lot of our viewers in particular aren't followers. A lot of our viewers, and they're return viewers, but they haven't clicked follow. And I've got the invite already out, so I can't invite you again. So if you're in that situation, just take a second of your time. Go click that follow button. It definitely helps us out. It helps our distribution. Comments help our distribution. Likes help our distribution. Because I can tell you right now, Facebook doesn't like our distribution. And YouTube actually, I think for the first time, they gave the first time in a while, gave one of our videos a little play, and it did okay. I mean, they got a few hundred views, but normally, like if I just leave it on YouTube and I don't share it and distribute it myself, it'll get. We've got 1,300 followers, and maybe 10 of them will see it, maybe 20 of them. So it's it's a fun cat and mouse game that I've been playing with these guys, and then I also got to make better content too, right? So there's that too. So. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. I will see you next week. I have I'm going to be light on the content for the next week. I have family flying in. There's going to be a lot of adult beverages consumed. We're going to Vegas for a couple of days. Maybe I'll pull up a quick live shot in Vegas just to shout out. But I may be slow this next week coming into Thanksgiving. I will be on live next Wednesday though. But just in case you miss it, because it's the holidays, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family. Don't let Marxists tell you about this, make you feel bad about Indians. Just enjoy your time with your family and enjoy the holiday. Watch some football or whatever it is your family does as a tradition on Thanksgiving. Keep that tradition alive. America needs all of our traditions. All right. On that note, folks, I'm out.
And like that,